All right, welcome to the 1a, b, c, and d practice. So for each one of these, we're going to have to do something with an equation. Pull out the slope of it, or y-intercept, or find a perpendicular slope or parallel slope, or draw the graph. So let's get started. Number one, following the following characteristics. So we get the slope. To get it in slope, to find the slope, we need y equals mx plus b. That's going to be the easiest form to get the slope. So I'm going to get the y by itself. So this y here has got to get by itself. So we have move a term first. If you ever have to move a term, we're going to subtract 2/3 x. And so I have 5y will come down equals, I'm going to put the negative 2/3 x, the x term first because of the mx. 10 is positive, so plus 10. I'm going to, instead of dividing by 5, which you certainly could do, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reason why I'm doing that is because of this negative 2/3 of a fraction. It's going to end up being y equals negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, 5 times 3 is 15. When you're multiplying fractions, it's much easier to do than taking a fraction and dividing by 5. Now you could do that in Desmos, but a little easier not to if you multiply by the reciprocal. So 1 times 10 is 10, and 5 times 1 in the denominator is 5. So I have y equals negative 2/15 x. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Looking for the slope. The slope is your coefficient in front of the x. So the slope is negative 2/15. And the y-intercept is the plus 2, so it's positive 2. Now I got to find the point where an x-coordinate of 6. So I'm looking for the x-coordinate of 6. And we got to figure out what the y is. We don't know. So what you're going to do is you take the original. It doesn't matter actually if it's the original equation or y equals mx plus b. So slope intercept. You're going to substitute x equals 6 in to either one of them. It does not matter. So if I choose 2/3, substitute, replace the x with 6. 2/3 times 6, multiply your numerators, multiply your denominators. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Solve it. I need to solve for y. I need to figure out what the y is. So divide by 5, divide by 5. And we're going to get the y equals to 6/5. So that is the y coordinate. So the point 6 and the y coordinate 6/5. All right, number 2, draw a horizontal line. So the horizontal line, you can draw a horizontal line anywhere you want. So I'll just draw one here, horizontal. What's the slope of it? The slope of any horizontal line is 0. A vertical line would be undefined. And the equation is, well, you look at your y-intercept here of 3. So you can either say the y-intercept's 3, so it's y equals 0x plus 3, and 0 times x is 0, plus 3 is 3. So there's your equation. Or you could look at each individual point. Like that is 2, 3. The y-intercept is 0, 3. You could look over here at negative 3, 3. What's in common with all of them? The y values are all 3. And at the y values, they're all 3. So that's why we say the y is equal to 3. All right, number 3. First, we need to graph this. So if I'm giving you a point slope form, we can find the point. The point is going to be, so our slope of this point, or of this graph, is 4/3. And we need a point. So we have the y minus y equals m times x minus x. So your point is going to be, the x value is going to be 1. The y value is going to be negative 5. So -1, -5, that's your point, and you get your slope from there. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, right 3. You can do that again, 1, 2, 3, 4, right 3. And there's your graph. Find the point of an x-coordinate of 4. So here I would, this is going back to the same thing we did with number 1. If x is going to equal 4, what's the y going to equal? So I'm going to substitute in 4 for x. Four minus 1 is 3. 3 times 4/3. Multiply your numerator, multiply your denominator. You get 4, and subtract 5. The y value is going to equal -1. So my point, my coordinate, x coordinate is 4, my y coordinate is -1. Find the equation perpendicular to the graph in part A that goes through the point in part B. So perpendicular to the slope in part A is 4/3. And perpendicular means, so a perpendicular slope, you multiply, you do the reciprocal, so 3/4, and 4/3 is positive, so we make it negative. So we're going to use this perpendicular slope, so -3/4, and we have to go through the point in part B. So we're going to also go through the point for -1. So find an equation. If we have a point in a slope, we have a point here and we have a slope, we can put it in point slope form. And then we're done. Y minus -1, that's +1, equals -3/4 x minus 4. That is an equation, perpendicular. And I'll graph that equation. So in D, let's graph that. I'm going to do it in purple. I'm going to use my point, 4, -1. Here we go. It's 4, -1. And I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and right 4. 1, 2, 3, oh, we're off the graph. So I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and left 4. And then draw my line. And you see those lines are perpendicular to each other. They form 90-degree angles, so that gives you a nice visual that they are perpendicular. Number 4, write the standard form of the equation of the line through the given point with the given slope. All right, so we have a slope is 6/5, and our point is 10, -1. So we're going to put y minus -1, so that's a +1, equals the slope times x minus 10. We have to put it in standard form. Right now it's in point slope form. So standard form, I am going to run through all the steps. So I'm going to distribute times 6/5 x, multiply, so I have -60 over 5. I'm going to simplify, just rewrite this quick. 60 divided by 5 is 12. All right, I'm going to subtract 1 to get my like terms together, my constants. So y equals 6/5 x minus 13. And then I need to multiply by, I'm going to get rid of the fraction. There's only one denominator, so I'm going to multiply by that denominator, 5. If there was more than one denominator, I'd multiply the denominators together and then multiply that by the whole equation. I think you have some problems like that on practice. 5 times 6/5 is 30 over 5. 5 times 13 is 65 over 1. So that becomes 5y equals 6x minus 65. And standard form, we need to get our x and y terms on the same side. So I'm going to put this down below. 6x, so -6x. The 5y is positive, so plus 5y equals a -65. So standard form, you have to have no fractions, no decimals, and the x and y terms have to be on the same side of the equal sign. Now for part B, is -5x plus 6y perpendicular to the equation in part A? Let's see. You have to figure out the slope. So the slope in part A is 6/5. That's what it says here. Slope is 6/5. So I'm going to get it into y equals mx plus b. And then I'm going to divide by 6, divide by 6, divide by 6. And we get y equals 5/6 x plus 1. How is that? It is the reciprocal, but 6/5 and 5/6 are the same signs. It would have to be a negative 5/6, so this is a no. If it was a negative 5/6, then it would be a yes. So because this is the positive and the original slope is positive, they are not perpendicular to each other. And C, this last part. Write their standard form of the equation of the line described, and we got to be parallel. So I need the slope first. Well, here's the slope. It's already in y equals mx plus b form, so the slope is 5/3. Parallel means the same, so we're going to use that same slope. Get your point. So I have y minus a negative 6, so it's plus 6, equals 5/3 times x minus 1. That is an equation. We got to get to the standard form, so I'm going to multiply. Negative 5/3. I'm going to subtract 6. So I get y equals 5/3 x. I need to change. I'm going to work this problem out on a separate part. So I have negative 5/3. I'm going to multiply by 3/3. Negative 23/3. Right? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's pretty weird looking y-intercept. So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this. I'm going to multiply everything by 3 to get rid of the denominators. So 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 5/3 is 15/3x. 3 times negative 23 is a negative 69/3. Simplify it. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 69 divided by 3 is 23. And now we need to get the x and y terms on one side now that we have the fraction gone. So negative 5x, the 3y is positive, so plus 3y equals negative 23. And there's my standard form. The x and y is on one side of the equal sign with no fractions or decimals. All right. Hopefully this helped you. Please come to see me in the morning if you need help, or after school, or during advisory. Just please ask your advisory teacher.